This man is deeply in love with you, but he is hiding something complicated. Love is rarely simple. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and unshakable. Yet buried beneath that devotion lies something complicated, a part of him he cannot or will not share. You might notice the way he watches you, the small gestures that always land perfectly, the way he remembers the tiniest details about your life. It's obvious that he cares deeply, profoundly, in a way that touches more than just the surface. But there's tension in his presence, a shadow behind the warmth. Something holds him back. He doesn't reveal everything. And sometimes his silence feels heavier than any words could. That complexity isn't a reflection of love lost. It's love complicated by fear, past pain, or choices he feels he must carry alone. Understanding him means noticing what's said, what's left unsaid, and the spaces in between. Sometimes the deepest love is the love that's quietly hidden. When a man is deeply in love but hiding something complicated, the first thing to understand is that love and openness do not always go hand in hand. Feeling deeply for someone does not automatically mean he will lay his heart bare, and the intensity of his emotions can sometimes make it even harder to share what's really going on. The very depth of his love can create a fear of exposure, a sense that revealing the full truth could change everything between you. Love, in its purest form, carries vulnerability, and vulnerability is terrifying when what you feel is so strong. He wants to protect both himself and you, which paradoxically leads to distance and silence. This is why his love often manifests in quiet, subtle ways rather than dramatic declarations. He may show up consistently in your life, remember small details about you, or act with a level of care that feels intentional but not performative. Each of these actions is a proof of his devotion, even if he never directly admits how deeply he feels. The love is real, but the words are held back. The very fact that he hides part of himself often signals the magnitude of what he feels. He isn't careless or indifferent. He's cautious because the emotion is too intense to risk miscommunication. Part of the reason he withholds the full truth is emotional self-protection. Men who love deeply often carry a fear of rejection, failure, or causing unintended pain. Sharing complicated feelings, whether they involve past mistakes, personal struggles, or conflicting emotions, feels like stepping off a cliff without a safety net. Even though he wants you to know him fully, he weighs the potential consequences, and the risk often outweighs the immediate need to confess. Love, in this sense, can be simultaneously powerful and paralyzing, creating a tension between desire and restraint. Another layer to consider is that his silence doesn't mean absence of feeling. It often means the opposite. He may be observing, listening, and adjusting how he interacts with you to ensure that he expresses love without destabilizing the connection. That careful calculation can look like hesitation or distance, but it is driven by thoughtfulness, not indifference. Every choice he makes, every word said, every action taken is filtered through both love and the awareness of what he's keeping hidden. Understanding this dynamic requires recognizing that love is not always loud. Sometimes, the most profound devotion is expressed through patience, restraint, and consistent small acts of care. Even when he hides the complexity within himself, his love continues to influence his behavior, shaping how he approaches you, how he protects you from the parts of him that are complicated, and how he holds on to hope that one day, when the time is right, he might be able to share everything without fear. When a man is deeply in love but hiding something complicated, one of the main reasons for his secrecy is the personal struggles he carries internally. These struggles can take many forms: past heartbreak, trauma, fear of failure, insecurities, or responsibilities he feels he cannot escape. They are often invisible to the outside world, carefully tucked away behind calm expressions or composed behavior. Yet they shape everything he does. Even in love, these burdens create a tension between what he feels and what he can safely reveal. He may long to share the full truth, but is restrained by the uncertainty of how it will be received. Love does not erase complication, it intensifies it, because the more he cares, the more vulnerable he feels to showing the parts of himself he fears could disrupt the relationship. These internal struggles often affect his communication. He may avoid certain topics, deflect questions, or remain silent when pressed, not out of deceit, but out of caution. He fears that revealing too much too soon could hurt you, or worse, create a misunderstanding that alters your perception of him. Vulnerability feels risky when the stakes are so high, and love amplifies that risk. Every time he considers opening up, he is balancing desire against fear, weighing the potential pain against the need for connection. This internal conflict is exhausting, and often silence feels like the only safe option. At the same time, his struggles do not prevent him from demonstrating love. They simply alter how he expresses it. He may show devotion through consistency, small acts of thoughtfulness, or attentive listening rather than sweeping declarations of emotion. Each gesture carries significance because it represents effort in the midst of internal turmoil. Even if he cannot explain the weight he carries, his love motivates him to act in ways that protect and support you. These actions are deliberate, quiet, and meaningful, revealing devotion in absence of full disclosure. Often the complexity he hides is intertwined with his identity. He may fear that certain truths, financial strain, family obligations, unresolved past relationships, or personal insecurities could change how you see him. In love, being seen completely is both desired and terrifying. He wants acceptance, yet he worries that exposing too much could drive you away. The struggle of holding on to these hidden pieces while maintaining connection requires careful navigation, patience, and self-restraint. In essence, personal struggles make him guarded, measured, and sometimes distant, but they are not a reflection of love lost or diminished. They are a reflection of love complicated by life's weight, responsibilities, and fear of causing harm. The tension between deep affection and internal conflict shapes every interaction, every decision, and every moment of silence, making his devotion simultaneously powerful, hidden, and profoundly human. When a man is deeply in love but hiding something complicated, one of the most common reasons is his protective instinct. This instinct doesn't come from selfishness or lack of care. It comes from the depth of his feelings and the fear that revealing certain truths could hurt the person he loves. Love, in its truest form, is not just about desire or connection. It is about concern for the other person's well-being. When he senses that certain aspects of his life, emotions, or past could cause pain, confusion, or emotional burden, he chooses silence. He carries the weight himself rather than risk transferring it to you, even if that means he must hide pieces of himself. This protective instinct often shows in subtle ways. He may withhold details about his struggles, decisions, or past mistakes, not because he wants to deceive, but because he wants to preserve your sense of safety and stability. He understands that some truths, while important, are complicated and require careful timing, trust, and context to share. By choosing when, how, and whether to disclose, he attempts to shield you from emotional shock, disappointment, or distress. His love compels him to act thoughtfully, even when that means staying quiet. The protective instinct also affects how he interacts with you on a daily basis. He may avoid arguments or sensitive topics, steer conversations away from potentially upsetting subjects, or minimize his own needs to prevent conflict. This doesn't indicate indifference or emotional unavailability. It is a conscious decision to prioritize your emotional experience over immediate honesty. He calculates every move, balancing his desire for connection with the responsibility of not causing harm. Even in moments of frustration or confusion, his underlying motivation is care. Another element of this protection is emotional self-restraint. By holding back, he ensures that his love does not become overwhelming or burdensome. Deep affection can be intense and consuming, and when combined with complicated circumstances, such as personal challenges, past trauma, or external pressures, it can feel unsafe to express fully. The protective instinct allows him to maintain equilibrium, keeping his feelings contained so that his devotion supports rather than destabilizes the relationship. This behavior may appear distant or ambiguous at times, but it is rooted in profound concern. He wants to love fully, yet he also wants to preserve the safety, trust, and emotional comfort of the person he loves. In choosing to carry his complications privately, he demonstrates a kind of disciplined care that is rare and quietly powerful. His actions reveal a devotion that is measured, deliberate, and deeply human, love filtered through awareness, restraint, and the desire to protect the very person he cannot imagine losing. When a man is deeply in love but hiding something complicated, one of the most telling aspects of his behavior is the subtle signals he sends. Even when he cannot fully express his emotions or reveal the complexities he carries, his love often comes through in small, seemingly ordinary gestures. These signals are rarely dramatic, but they are consistent, intentional, and deeply revealing. They are the quiet language of a heart that wants to connect without exposing everything it holds. These subtle gestures can take many forms. He might remember the tiniest details about your life, your preferences, your habits, the way you react in certain situations. He notices when you're feeling down or stressed, and without calling attention to it, he finds ways to offer support. He may check in regularly, not to intrude, but to remind you that he's present. He may act thoughtfully in ways that seem small but carry emotional weight, leaving you a note, sharing something that reminded him of you, or simply being there when you least expect it. These actions are deliberate. They are proof that he is engaged, even if he cannot articulate everything he feels. Subtle signals also manifest in the way he prioritizes your comfort and happiness. He may avoid confrontation when he senses it could hurt you, offer compromises without complaint, or put your needs above his own in quiet ways. These choices reflect love in action, showing that he is attentive, observant, and deeply committed to your well-being. Unlike grand declarations or dramatic gestures, these behaviors are sustainable and consistent, revealing his devotion without overwhelming either of you. Part of why these signals matter is that they communicate love without requiring him to explain the complicated parts of his life. He may fear judgment, misunderstanding, or creating tension by revealing everything he's carrying. Subtle gestures allow him to express his feelings safely, maintaining connection while still protecting both himself and you. In this sense, every small act becomes a form of communication, a way to say "I care" without words, a way to stay close without fully exposing his vulnerabilities. These gestures also reflect patience and restraint. Deeply in love, he may want to share everything, to be fully transparent, but he chooses to move carefully, honoring timing and trust. The consistency of his subtle signals becomes a silent promise. He is present, attentive, and committed, even if he cannot yet speak his full truth. In essence, the quiet, deliberate, and caring actions he takes reveal love that is steadfast, careful, and profoundly human, even when parts of him remain hidden. When a man is deeply in love but hiding something complicated, the tension between love and internal conflict becomes a constant undercurrent in his behavior. Emotional conflict arises when the heart desires connection and transparency, but the mind and circumstances impose restraint. He may long to share everything he feels, yet he knows that doing so could bring challenges, misunderstandings, emotional vulnerability, or even unintended consequences. This internal struggle creates a push and pull, where desire for closeness battles with fear, caution, or unresolved personal issues. His love is genuine, but the complexity he carries creates a kind of emotional stalemate that makes expression difficult. This conflict often shows in hesitation or inconsistency. One moment, he may be warm, attentive, and engaged, fully present in the interaction. The next, he may withdraw slightly, seem distant, or avoid deeper topics. These oscillations are not signs of a lack of affection. Rather, they reflect the weight of his internal struggle. Each choice to step back is measured against the potential impact of revealing too much, and each gesture of closeness is carefully considered in light of that internal tension. It is a delicate balance he maintains constantly. Part of the emotional conflict stems from fear of rejection, fear of judgment, or fear of disrupting the connection he values so deeply. Loving someone intensely while carrying personal complications can create a sense of vulnerability that feels unsafe to expose. The stronger the love, the more he fears losing it by being entirely transparent. At the same time, the very act of hiding something weighs on him, creating guilt, frustration, or anxiety. The emotional push and pull is exhausting, yet he endures it because his love motivates him to stay connected even when it is difficult. This internal conflict also influences the way he communicates. He may choose his words carefully, speak indirectly, or rely on actions instead of explanations. In doing so, he protects both himself and the person he loves from the turbulence his hidden complications could cause. Love, in this context, is expressed not through full disclosure but through thoughtfulness, presence, and attentiveness. Each decision is filtered through the lens of his emotional struggle, demonstrating that his commitment exists even amidst uncertainty. Ultimately, the collision of love and complication shapes his entire approach to the relationship. The emotional conflict he carries is invisible, yet it governs his choices, actions, and reactions. His love is steady, but it is tempered by caution and care. Understanding this requires seeing beyond words and surface behavior, recognizing that his restraint, hesitation, and subtle attentiveness are all rooted in the quiet tension of loving deeply while navigating personal complexity. When a man is deeply in love but hiding something complicated, patience and trust become the invisible threads that hold the connection together. He may long to open up, to reveal the full extent of his emotions and the complexities he carries, but he understands that timing and emotional safety are essential. Sharing his truth prematurely could overwhelm, confuse, or even hurt the person he loves, and the last thing he wants is to damage the bond he cherishes. Because of this, he often waits, carefully, silently, and intentionally, for the right moment, a moment when trust has grown enough to carry the weight of his hidden struggles. This need for time does not reflect hesitation about the love itself. It reflects his awareness of the stakes involved. He knows that love is powerful, but it is also fragile when confronted with complicated truths. He may struggle with how to express his feelings without causing unintended pain, or how to reveal personal challenges without triggering judgment or misunderstanding. Because of this, he often communicates in subtler ways, through small acts of kindness, attentiveness, or thoughtful gestures, while he gauges when the moment is right to be fully transparent. These actions demonstrate that his love is present, even if his full truth is not. Trust, in this dynamic, is both his guide and his constraint. He must feel confident that the person he loves will receive his vulnerabilities with compassion and understanding before he can release them. At the same time, he hopes that trust will be earned through patience, observation, and consistent care. He may reveal fragments of his truth over time, testing the waters and adjusting based on responses. This gradual approach is not about manipulation or secrecy for its own sake. It is about protecting the relationship while honoring the depth of his emotions. The reliance on time and trust also explains why his love can feel complex or even contradictory at moments. He may be fully present and attentive one day, yet seem distant or guarded the next. These fluctuations are not signs of wavering affection. They are the natural result of balancing the desire to be open with the need for emotional safety. Every action he takes, every gesture of care, and every carefully measured silence reflects his ongoing effort to maintain connection without overwhelming the other person or himself. Understanding this dynamic requires patience from both sides. His love is steadfast, but the complexity he carries demands that it unfolds slowly, with observation, empathy, and mutual respect. The full story of his heart is not yet visible, but the consistency, subtlety, and thoughtfulness of his behavior reveal that it is very much alive, waiting for the right conditions to be shared. Time and trust become the bridge between the love he feels and the transparency he longs to achieve, shaping a bond that is quietly profound and deeply human. In the end, love is rarely simple, especially when it comes with hidden complexities. A man who is deeply in love but carrying something he cannot yet share demonstrates devotion in ways that are quiet, subtle, and deliberate. His presence, his attentiveness, and his small gestures speak volumes, even when words remain unspoken. He balances longing with caution, passion with restraint, and honesty with care, all because he values both you and the connection you share. Understanding him requires patience, observation, and empathy. The complexities he hides do not diminish his love, they make it more profound, because it is a love measured against fear, responsibility, and the desire to protect. True devotion is not always loud or immediate. It often resides in the space between what is shown and what is withheld. Recognizing that space allows you to see the depth of his heart, even when parts of him remain hidden.